here's my final code with all my images that I used in my game. And then here's my code. So if we run this very quickly, you can see that it'll give you a quick how to play screen. You can start the game and then you're just playing Angry Birds. You can drag and drop to release the bird, and your goal is to kill all the pigs. And if you do, it'll give you win. If you don't, it'll give you game over. And then it'll play this nice little play again screen where you can either play again or you can quit. So if you quit, it'll simply shut down the program. So let's take a look at the code. So first imports, we import Pygame from pygame.locals import. So this gets all the images, and then we import time. Initiate Pygame, quick setup display, caption Angry Birds. Then we get to our first function, so the instruction screen. So here we get pygame.font, which I'll touch on later. I added this on the latter step of my so one of the last steps I did was add this instruction stream. So where I got pygame.font, I'll cite that later. Here.render, this makes the text appear on top of anything else, so you don't have to really worry too much about how when you draw it and stuff, which is very useful, and I learned it here. So then here, instructions, here is just a list of all the instructions, which then we will print out. Then here, this will draw the text in the rectangle for the start button. And then here, so this detects collision with the button. So if you click the button, it'll return true, which then will start the program, which will start the game loop, which I'll talk in later. And then here is just drawing in the screen. The other thing I used here was enumerate, which for each line I print it for each line. So enumerate I learned from here, which was useful because it gives you both the index and the information for each line, the index of the I. And then you just draw on all these, and then the start button, and then you add that with screen.blit and then display update. Next is the load images safely function. So this just, if an image doesn't load, it just quits the game. This was very early on in my code, and I wanted to make sure I had a function because I didn't exactly know where I'd use a function, and now I've ended up using quite a few. So this is relatively useless. I just wanted to make sure I had a function in my code. But I guess if it doesn't load, there won't be any errors. It will just say it can't load, and it'll quit the program. Then we use this function to load everything, and we create the class for our pig. So we can see that there's a fair amount of information. So it gets your a rectangle for the positioning and image or collision detection to detect if the bird hits it, and then it is centered to XY, which is provided when you call upon it. And then again, this just indicates if it's a boss pig, like Whiz Pig, who you saw was floating. I didn't end up having enough time to do anything with this like quality or this trait of being a boss, but in the future, that's definitely something I could explore. So this just tracks, make sure he's alive. Then a few functions. So to draw, so this just draws the screen. So if he's alive, it will add him to the screen. And then this is collision detection. So if it's alive and it collides with the projectile, he'll no longer, it will mark it as dead, and then it'll return as true. Otherwise, if there's no collision or already dead, returns false. So that's where you differentiate. Then again, there's this play again screen. So again, as you saw, this function is at the end of my code. If after you win or you lose, it'll play again. It'll do the play again screen. Here's the pygame.font I was talking about. Here's where I learned how to do it, and that's just how I wrote text, and it'll be used multiple times throughout this, as you've already seen, and right here. So this is just play again and quit screen, draw the rectangles, and then just detect collisions with either the quit rectangle or the play again rectangle. And then again, pygame.quit and exit these. Shutdowns pygame and exits the program. Those are two different things. Kind of. And then this fills the screen with black to reset the background. So it's more of a play again screen instead of just random buttons on a screen. Looked a bit more professional in my opinion. And then yeah, you just draw the buttons and then you add them to the screen and then you update the display. So now we're getting into the last function, which is game function. So this game loop I put within a function so it can be called multiple times. So when you play again, you just call upon the function. Which returns true, and it's while true, this function is playing. So define maze. So first is just a rectangle. So again, we load all the images. Now we just put in the sling, the player, and define the starting position, which is the player center, which I'll use later. Then create pig instances. So this creates a leg of pig objects, and I just put them on the screen. And then the amount of pigs, which I put like this just in case later if I wanted to go and add and change it, I wouldn't have to change this number. This is just the amount of pigs in the list, and then this is the amount of pig killed, which will be because the amount of pigs killed is always displayed on the screen. So this is a good way of keeping track of the different statistics. And then you get the rectangle for the wood structure, which you saw in the game. Here are all my game variables. Pretty simple. So this is just a clock. Clock I define as pygame.time.clock. That's just import time. Gravity. So this is, I found this was the best, and this just affects the y value. So you account for gravity. So the y value, technically, because the screen is like kind of flipped in a way, it like adds to it, so it affects the speed at which the y speed once you launch the bird, which I'll get into later. Bird velocity is just a list. This is x speed, y speed. Instead of 0, 0, that changes. Bird launched, false. Let's keep track of the bird is launched. Dragging, false. Keep track of dragging on and off. Chances, font. Usually, again, I just use that font several times, and then running equals true. So this is while running. So this is my game loop. So first we draw on the pigs. The pigs are class for easy. Draw on everything else. Then these are mechanics. So this was the hard part. So again, when the player clicks down and the bird has not been launched, so we toggle dragging. And then if it's dragging and the mouse button goes up, dragging goes off, and the bird gets launched. So then we calculate the we get the mouse position, so pygame.getMouse. I learned this from pygame.org. And then once I have this, I can subtract it from the starting position to find out the difference in x and the difference in y. This is quite mathematical. And then that basically, that difference determines the speed, which is the two values in the list. So then I just put it, the factor of 0.2 is simply because I trial and error, and I figured it worked best. I just tried each decimal between 0 and 1. I pretty quickly realized 1 wasn't a good, leaving it alone wasn't good. Then here, this makes sure when you're dragging it that the player, the bird, will follow the mouse, so it looks like you're actually dragging it back. And then, once it's launched, again, you adjust the y value for the gravity. See, even though it's going down on your screen, it's like this is 0 and this is like 800 if it was 800y. So when you're adding that gravity factor to the y, it's slowly affecting the y, so it accounts for gravity. And then, this is just the velocity, so it just updates the player's position based on the velocity of x and the velocity of y. So that's the mechanics. That was the hard part. Now, simply we just check collisions. I ran into this. This was one of the sources provided in class, and you can use pygame.rec.inflate to change how big something is, like how big the rectangle or the hitbox is. So then you can just makes it slightly more accurate. And then reset the launch status so the player can aim again. Reset the bird velocity to 0, and then reset the starting position. And then break. This means that you don't have to check any other pigs because you can't hit 5 pigs in one shot. I didn't get there. So then this checks if the bird missed or went out of bounds or anything, and then that just, you lose a chance, and then it resets everything again. The lose a chance, so you get 3 chances, I saw. And this is displayed. Where I'll just show you right here. Yeah, so then this draw the bird. This is the chances display. Again, font render. This is the score text displayed. So this is the score, which is the pigs guild over total pigs. Screen.lit, and then we add that. And then we update the display. So these last few things are relatively simple. So this is just a check for the win. If we kill all the pigs, then we redraw this without any of the pigs, and we display the message, you win. Then we wait. I learned that from here. This is just how you wait in pie game. Running goals false. So then we stop it. Same for a game over. It's just making sure the chances are 0 and that we haven't won. So then we will redraw everything again and display a different message. Game over. In red this time. Or actually, I'm pretty sure I looked at it and it was like a firewood. Anyways, if you don't do... and then the last part is clock toxicity, which maxes out the gameplay at 60 FPS. Yeah, before I added this, it just goes like super fast. And like, you just like, as soon as you let go, you just see nothing. You just see the chances go down. So then I looked at why that would be, and it turns out you can max out the gameplay at 60 FPS, which means that everything isn't going crazy fast, and you can enjoy the game. Play again screen. Oh yeah, so then this, at the end, after you lose or win, it will do the play again screen. And then finally, here's we start the game. So we start with the instruction screen, which then again can set it to true if you click start. And then while true, it'll play main, which is our game loop. And then within the game loop, if you click, it'll play the play again screen, which then again, if you click the play again, it'll set this read to true, so then you can play as much as you want. All right, I really hope you enjoyed my game, and thank you for listening.